So it's Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my good friend Mitchell Smith, embarking on a comeback in training for the comeback, December the 6th, which we're all looking forward to. Now, you were last with us on camera back in, I think it was October 2022. It was a few
Okay.
months removed from your comeback then, after 5 years out of the ring. 29 years old then, still only 31 now. What's happened between then and now? Take as long as you need, but we thought that was the start of something. Now it's a kind of rebirth.
Yeah, so some people might not know, but like you were saying, we jumped on a little call back in 2022, and I actually had a fight back at just under the welterweight limit, and things were going really well. But unfortunately, it was about 2 weeks after the fight. I was driving around on a moped, and I went to weave out of someone to weave back in to overtake, and I hit a lamppost at 50 mile an hour, and absolutely crashed my ankle to pieces to the extent that it needed operating on. And I actually got told that I wouldn't be allowed to box again because my foot wouldn't be able to. Basically, it wouldn't be ready to compete again. Basically, and I spent months and months of personal physio with a man called Adam Lovegrove, who looked after me very, very well. Um, and I did put on weight a little bit of weight, and I wasn't that interested about fighting again. But you know what it's like. I still feel like there's plenty of life left in the old dog. So here I am. I would like to think a little bit more grown up again. I feel like we have these conversations far too frequently, but I do feel that each year and each year I am growing up, and now I am probably the biggest threat that I will be. Well, this time around, I'll be the biggest threat that I will be that I would have ever have been, because I've got it right inside and outside the ring. I'm working full time. I'm doing really, really well outside the ring. I'm doing really, really well outside the gym in terms of my life in general. Um, and yeah, I think I wish I'd have had this mindset now rather than earlier, because I think I would have got it right. But hey ho, here I am, December the 6th it is. And yeah, I feel incredible for it.
So how long did it take to kind of rehab the ankle? When did you start thinking about it being a real possibility that you could come back?
January this year.
Wow. That's a long,
January this
hard
year.
road.
So yeah, I think it happened back in August 2022 is when I smashed the ankle up. May have even been July or August, one or the other.
Yeah,
No,
because we
June.
had you on the
June.
podcast in October, and it wasn't long after that. It was just before that when it had happened, because you were joking about having one leg and how difficult it
Right.
was and so on.
Yeah, correct. So I went through, I think I was bedbound for 3.5 months, and then got the physio. Well, I had physio going, but I was like from physio to bed because I had to have it elevated. Um, and then the ankle was back in full flow, and then I started feeling like a pinch to my ankle, like as if like it just weren't right. You know when you know your own body. Um, and I went back to the hospital, and I said something's wrong with the ankle. It's not how it should be. They told me that they can recommend the plate coming out because I had pins and plates put in,
Right.
some stitches across the front of my foot because I had some skin graft done because of all the front of my foot was shaved. Um, so basically, they took the plate out, which now looking back has been an absolute blessing because I have exactly the same exactly the same ankle as before, if not just as strong, if not stronger. So all in all, I would probably say best part of 12 to 16 months of recovery. But this January, I got I, I'd say it was around Christmas time. Last Christmas, I started thinking, actually, do you know what? I'm living in regret with my boxing. And it's the only thing in life that I'm sitting here regretting. Like we all have our differences, and we all have our things outside of boxing, etc. But the only thing I really regretted was the fact that I never gave it a proper go. Do you know what I mean? Like found some momentum with my career, and to see where it could go. And I just decided I'd rather live probably 4 more years left of my career in a little bit of like having to go through hard times, having to get the weight off, having to do the hard camps again, having to do the hard spars, which I've been doing recently. And yeah, I'm excited because as my body's getting older, I thought I would feel older in terms of when I'm sparring after finishing sparring. I feel, I'm getting aches and pains, and I don't. I feel fresh. I feel young still. And I shared some good rounds with, and I'm name dropping, but Liam Dillon last week, and we had a good chat after the fight about potentially being opponents somewhere down the line. That makes for a great fight. And these are the type of boys that I want to be chasing after two or three comeback fights. I've got a 4-rounder here in December. I'm looking to be out again in February. And then as soon as possible, man, I just want to be as busy as I can. Putting the bums on the seats isn't an issue to me. I've always had a decent fan base. I've sold the best part of 150, 160 tickets for this one so far. Probably looking at around the 250 mark. And then just whatever. I'm told February they've got something going, and I'm just chasing momentum, man. I'm on cloud nine right now, and I don't want to rock the boat, but I am chasing good domestic fights. What is left in Mitchell Smith in terms of competitiveness, in terms of who I can be beating. What I think in my mind, I'm partially deluded, I would think, but in a way that all athletes have to be,
Yeah.
because without the delusion, I don't think we'd be sat here chasing the same dream. And I think that there are still some fantastic domestic British fighters out there. And when it's my time, I'll be mentioning names.
And we'll get back to boxing in a minute, but you talked about your job there and how good life's going outside the ring. Just tell us about how you came into the line of work you're in now and what you do and so on, because I've seen a lot of posts about it on social media. You do seem in a really good place.
Yeah, so right now, I'm working in the scrap metal industry. I was doing payroll, and I still am doing a little bit of payroll in terms of business development for a company called Omnia. So my network has grown massively outside of boxing in terms of the people and the individuals that I'm knocking around with now compared to what I was doing in my 20s. I mean, if I'd have found this type of lifestyle when I was 21, believe me, I'd have been a fucking world champion over and over again. But nevertheless, I'm still here. So I do bits and bobs in that industry still, and I'm full-time working in a yard in Colindale, which is a scrap metal yard. I know the metal game inside out because my dad ran his own company for 20 odd years. And I've took to it really well. I've pulled in some nice business. It's a company called LMR Scrap Metals. We're based in Colindale, St Albans, and Luton, so I'm plugging that one. And anyone out there that's got any work for me, ultimately boxing don't go on forever. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me and chuck me some work. But yeah, all jokes aside, Dan, it's a lot. Look, it's long hours. I get up at 5:15 every morning. By the time I get into the gym, I'm lucky that my boss allows me a little bit of time in the day to just use the cross trainer in the office. We've got a cross trainer in the office, so I get on that in the afternoon. Then I go straight to the gym of an evening. I've got a perfect time slot of 5 o'clock every evening. And yeah, things are going really well. Things are going really well. Outside life is perfect. My kids are healthy. They're loved. And I'm loved, and I'm in a really good place.
Now, you said earlier about wanting that mindset that you've got now back when you were 21 and breaking onto the scene. But how much confidence does it give you in how far you can still go? That even when you weren't living the life and you were doing pretty much everything wrong, you were still doing quite well. You were still winning most of your fights.
Yeah, and you know what? It hurts. It hurts to hear it because I kind of want to wipe. I kind of want to wipe the first chapter of my career. When it was all blown up and everyone was blowing smoke up my house. I almost want to write it off this time and just start fresh and just see what's going to happen. Just see what's going to unfold again, because I know people. There are going to be two types of people out there, right? There are going to be people that are going to go, he's too old, he's finished, he's had his best days, he's probably abused his body through drinking drugs over the years, he ain't going to be the same person. And then there are going to be the lads that are going to think, actually, this kid's going to be exciting again. I think he'll do all right. So I'm just looking forward to letting my hands do the talking and letting it all unfold again because it all still feels surreal. I was at York Hall yesterday and I said hello to Andy Ayling, and Simon Legg, my manager, was there, who's going to be my manager for the rest of my career. And they was telling me how fantastic I looked, and just being in and around them types of people again. It was just it felt new to me, and it just felt fresh. So I'm excited.
How important is your Coach Azar Aaron Woodcock at Jab Boxing in Bushy? How important has he been to your development and finding the new Mitchell Smith?
I think Aaron has been a blessing to me in not just boxing but life in general. He's my best pal. He will forever look after me. He will forever do the right things for me, and I know that just through trust that I've built over the last few years. But not only that, but his education in boxing has become second to none. He's a perfectionist, and not only have I gelled with him as a boxer and a fighter, but I've gelled with him as a best friend. And I think that goes a long way because there's a mutual respect in the camp. And he he doesn't just tell me what to do, but he hears me out as well. So it just works. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to keep my fingers crossed that I can get back on TV. I know he's got, some fantastic fighters under him already, in the likes of Shannon Ryan, Obi Benuku, well, I can't spell his second name, or can't say his second name, but he's got some great fighters in there already, and I just want to be added to that list and give him that bit of exposure that he deserves as a coach, because no doubt he's put the time in and he's put the effort in, and I think he deserves the rewards. He's been a very, very good friend of mine, and I'm looking forward to cracking on over the next few years with him. I think he's very happy. I see, when we talk about it now, he goes to me, "Jesus, Mitch, you only wasted 2 years of my life. Cheers." Like, like literally, because I've got things to where where he wants them to be now. Yeah, I want to do well for him. I want to do well for him.
And you mentioned the recent sparring with Liam Dillon. We know he obviously won a British title not too long ago, so it's a good level to compete at. How much confidence does that and some of the other sparring you've done give you that you can still mix it at the level you want to be at?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Liam, obviously, as you know, is a very tough man. And I was in there in a 50-50 spar in only my second competitive spar in 2.5 years. So I'm not blowing smoke up my own arse, and it makes no odds how Liam looks at the video and whether he even looks at it. But eventually down the line, he's a fighting man. I'm a fighting man. And eventually, listen, right now we're using each other as hard work. I know he's got a big fight coming up that's about to be announced. And I'm helping him towards winning that fight. And, he's helping me push on further on in my career, and eventually hopefully we meet, or hopefully I can be involved in some domestic fights, because I'm still showing touches of class in sparring, and it's only, I feel like I'm still a baby. Do you know what I mean? In my mind, I'm still young. My body still feels young. And I'm just, yeah, like I said, I'm just looking forward to being in some good domestic fights.
You're looking very slim in the face. We're not going to pan too much further down. We don't want to overexcite the female fan base out there. But
we'll
does,
leave the abs. We'll leave the abs off show for this one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just thinking of the audience. But yeah, the fact that you're sparring Liam Dillon, does that give us an indicator of what sort of weight you're going to be competing at when you come back?
So for this one back, I'm gonna make 64 kilos. There's a couple of names been thrown at me. Not gonna go too much into detail. One of them ain't too bad. Got a few decent wins on his belt. Got a couple of draws on his belt. Never been. I think actually that's a lie. I think he's been stopped once or twice. So look, I'm always Dan. You know me. I'm a very, very spiteful person when I get in between the ropes. Nothing's changed mentally for me there. I'm still like it in sparring. If I can knock you out, I want to knock you out. That's the bottom line. And I believe that should never change. I think all fighters should have that mentality where you have to want to hurt someone when you get in them ropes. And I'm lucky. I feel I'm lucky that I have that, and that's why I'm going to bring the excitement back to the table. I feel like, especially some of these telly shows that have got not the greatest of undercards, I still feel like my face would still fit, and I still feel like my hands will still do the talking. I'm exciting, and yeah, we'll just see. Look, I know Uncle Frank still has a sweet spot for me, so you never know. Somewhere down the line, that call might be being made. What do they call it? One of my safety calls.
Well, I'm interviewing Uncle Frank tomorrow, actually, so I'll drop your name.
Tell Uncle Frank I said hello, and I'll be looking forward to getting on one of his London shows.
I'll tell him. I'll tell him.
Yeah,
He'll watch this anyway. He watches all our
sure.
videos, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so you're coming back at 64 kilos. When it comes to, competing for titles, which is obviously your objective, what weight class do you think you'll be at?
Yeah, so like you were just touching on, I'm not here, Dan, to come back and do a couple of 4 rounders or 6 rounders and try and paint a pretty picture. What I achieved in boxing was decent enough, and I think if I didn't think I could get back to that stage, I don't think I'd be here doing it again. So ultimately, the goal is to be in title fights and on TV. Um, so I would like to think I could do super featherweight again. If not, it will be between super feather and lightweight. I'm a lot better athlete now than I've ever been, because I feel now that I don't have to do it. I want to do it. Whereas in my 20s, I kind of felt like I had to do it because I had such a, I was like the golden egg. Do you know what I mean? I was like, everyone was talking about me, and I had so much pressure, and I probably didn't enjoy half of it as much as I probably should have. And now I don't. I don't have barely any sponsors anymore, so my medical has cost me money. Boxing's already cost me money. On a weekly basis, it's costing me money. My diet food's cost me money. Getting to the gym is costing me money. My brain scan, my medicals, everything, it's all cost me money. I don't have to do this. And the fact that I want to do it, um, I think makes it interesting.
What's family life like? Obviously, you've got a big family. Your missus seems incredibly supportive on social media. Since you've got back into boxing more seriously, have you been a happier person at home?
I've been an easier person to live with. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I just, again, Dan, like, we all make stupid decisions growing up. And over the past, I would say 13 months, I've grown up so much. Like, as in, I don't want to waste any more days doing stupid stuff in terms of arguing or bickering or listening to my kid. Listen, all households have it, but I just feel like all round, I'm just an easier person to live with. I'm just a nicer human being than I was. And that ultimately comes down to growing up. And Lacey's fantastic. I mean, she takes on all responsibilities when it comes to the kids, and I don't really have to, apart from keep them in line now and again. But they're great kids, man. I don't really have to. I've been a good role model over the past 13 months, and I changed at a perfect time in my kids' lives that they were probably too young to ever recognize when I was reckless, so that when they grow up, they'll be able to watch the role model that I am now and go, do you know what? He done all right for me. He done all right for me. And that means a lot for me. You know, I want my kids to look at me as somebody that's done okay for them. And I feel I have changed for them, and I have changed not just for myself, but I've changed for them. I want their lives to be better. I've calmed down as a human being, as an individual. I've calmed down um, to be a better role model for them. So, yeah, all credit to Lacey for helping me out with everything along the way, man. Without her, I'd be a lost soul.
Any of the kids showing an interest in boxing beyond your career, but like for themselves?
So my eldest daughter, Sadie, she does a little bit down our local boxing gym. She's actually at the moment in the process of like sparring and getting carded. So she actually might fight next year. She's still flirting with the idea. My youngest girl, Sienna, she's ruthless. She's like me. She's literally my double, um, and spiteful as well. So, I mean, she might have a go again. She goes down the boxing gym. She has a little bit of a go. Whether they do it or not it makes no odds to me. As long as they're happy, I'm not going to force any of my kids into it. My son likes doing a little bit of shadow boxing, but in terms of gym, you know what they're like at that age. He's only 6, so or he's turning 6, so his focus is more playing PlayStation and being out with the lads on the estate because we live in a little cul-de-sac estate, so they all go and play football and that outside and stuff like that. He's not that interested in getting into the gym just yet.
Fair enough. Um, you mentioned coming back, maybe super feather, maybe lightweight. You talked about Uncle Frank still having a soft spot for you. He's actually got a show on the night after your comeback on December the 7th.
Yeah.
Magnificent Seven show. British lightweight title is at stake on that show. Ryan Walsh challenging
Mhm.
Sam Noakes. What do you make of that fight?
Um, I like the fight. I think it's great management from Noakes's corner. Obviously, Walsh being a natural featherweight through most of his career. Um, Obviously, as you get older, it's tougher to make the weight, and he's obviously gone up to the lightweight mark. I don't think it's going to be an easy task for Noakes, but I do think size will play a part at some point in the fight. Walsh is a fantastic operator and a tough, tough man. He's been around the game. I respect him and his brothers and his whole family. Um, but I think size will play a part at some point in that fight.
Did you ever do any work with any of the Walshes, like sparring or anything?
Yeah, yeah, sparred all three of them, sparred all three of them, and do you know what? It was a weird one because about 2 months ago, I was obviously again, like I said, delusional. About 2 months ago, I was like writing out my hit list for 2025, and Ryan Walsh was one of those on my list. Just to listen, I'm not calling anyone out, but the right fights at the right time is where what pushes you to where that pushes you to the right into the right onto the big stage, if you like. And my thinking was I'll catch him just on his way out. So, like I said, it's great management. It's great management from Sam Noakes's corner, and I do think size will play a part at some point in that fight.
Who else was on the hit list?
There's a couple of them. There's a couple of them. There's a couple of them. Listen, ultimately, Dan, I want to be involved in the British fights, man. Like, I'm not here to call out no names. I just want anybody in Britain around that top 4, top 5 spots. I'm going to be hunting down because I want to be number one. I want to hold the Lonsdale belt. It's a massive dream of mine. It would be with my world title now. I don't know how far I can go. I don't know. I don't know how far I can go. I don't know how much. I don't know how far my body will allow me to go now. I'm a little bit older, but I'm just going to give it everything I've got to win a British title. And I think that to me I think I'd be able to sleep at night and live the rest of my life in peace, knowing that I give it 110% to try and win it.
And in terms of style and what people can expect on December the 6th, what will they be looking at from you, and how will it be different from the Mitchell Smith we saw in the ring all those years ago?
I don't think there's going to be huge amounts of difference in the ring. I still think you're going to see exciting, spiteful. I'm there to hurt. I don't like the boxing. I don't like touch jab. I want to beat the shits right out of you in a cunning way. In a cunning way. I don't mean going in there reckless, but ultimately I want to hurt you because all punches hurt, Dan. Like I have these discussions with people. Why are you so aggressive in sparring? Mate, you're punching me in the face. It hurts. I've got to punch you back. I've got to punch you first with intent. Do you know what I mean? So on December the 6th, I'm nothing but excitement. I'm nothing but excitement. I've got a huge ring walk planned. It's going to be excitement. It's going to be exciting. Sorry, it's going to be daunting. There's a lot going on. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to putting someone out.
And for people that want to know a bit more about you in the build-up to the big night, how can they find you on social media?
So on Instagram, I'm Mitchell Smith 92. I would say follow me on that mostly. Mitchell Smith on Facebook, but I'm not really hugely on Facebook. I just upload most of it on Instagram. Anyone wants to buy tickets can get it through there. Jump on board. It's going to be exciting. Um, yeah, that's me really.
Great stuff. Mate, really appreciate your time. Delighted to see you back. And yeah, hope it goes as well as it can.
Dan, I appreciate your time, man. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for having me on.
Anytime, mate. Take care. Speak soon.